So as a natural follow-on, we've got three thought leader experts that will introduce themselves, but I want to do just a quick setup here with 4 infographics. Let me first welcome my panelists. So we've got Andy Chow from Caring.com, VP of Lead Gen. Let's hear it up for him. We've got Erica Lockheimer from LinkedIn. So if you don't pay attention to her, she's going to screw with your LinkedIn profile. And then we've got Chris Spear from Atlanta, my hometown, who is a co-founder and chief marketing technologist from a world-class SmartTech agency. And we're going to have an interesting panel here. I'm going to go down just for a second. I've got 4 infographics. This one is interesting. The chief evangelist from Salesforce tweeted this at South by Southwest this year. So if you tweet him, you'll find it. But what this shows is how quickly technology is being adopted versus prior generations of technology. And if you look here on the right, whether it's the smartphone, an iPad, it's basically a vertical curve. I mean, a vertical line, not a curve. So what are the implications for you, whether you're an entrepreneur, work at a big company, developer, marketer? All of us, human beings, we are adopting technology quickly. And Moore's Law, technology is changing faster than every 18 months. So you have to really be able to telescope out in your industry and figure out what's coming and what are the implications for me, and then do something about it. You can't sit on your hands. And this is why you need to be digital marketing revolutionists. Chris, can you advance the next slide for me? This is another tweet by the same gentleman at Salesforce. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Look at that picture and figure out what it means. In 2007, when the first generation iPhone was introduced, and then all the competitors introduced smartphones and feature phones went away, since 2007, all of this utility, all of this functionality is now on what this gentleman is holding in his hand and taking a picture of this. Think about the disruption that has happened in all types of industries because we're now a mobile-only society. It's quite remarkable. So you need to think about that as you're developing anything you're doing. The IoT, Internet of Things, we've all heard about it. There are sessions on it, but this is real, folks. And by 2020, analysts are predicting that there will be 4 billion connected people. This is almost a $9 trillion business opportunity, and it was either Gartner or Forrester, I forget, are predicting that by 2020, 3.5 years from now, every human being in the Western world is going to have 20 connected devices. Several will have screens, the rest won't, but we will be connected. So as a business person, you really need to understand how digital is going to impact you. And then lastly, this article was in TechCrunch 2 weeks ago. Clothing and shoes, this is going to be commercially launched in the next couple of weeks. Clothing and shoes are now going to have sensors, and manufacturers are going to be able to talk with you to get you to love your LL Bean boots even more. So this is a very, very real thing. What I'm going to do now, again, I said before, I was the chief marketing officer at Samsung, but my perspective is start with the consumer. That's how I was trained at Procter & Gamble. So in a non-digital age, but starting with the consumer today, as Brian said, in the user experience and understanding how their world is changing, and don't assume what their world and behavior was, understand what their world is going to be, and design from that, and then figure out how you're going to approach it from a technology standpoint. So let me turn it over to Chris, and we'll work our way down. They're going to do 4 minutes on who they are, what they do, and a big, hairy problem in digital marketing that they're now tackling. Chris, over to you.
Hi, Chris Spears with ARC Systems. I'm one of the founders and chief marketing technologist. My background is software development, and then spent the last 10 years with ARC trying to figure out sales and marketing and how technology can be applied to it. The areas that we get to spend our time thinking about is, given all of the marketing technology tools, there are now, I think, just shy of 4,000 in a landscape. What is relevant to an organization? How do they leverage it to reach out to us and change our behaviors? A lot of what Brian was talking about, right? We've got these blank slates, and technology can now help those capabilities influence. I think it's also a lot broader than just a technology conversation, right? So if you consider yourself a marketer in the room, the salesperson, the product person, operations, that experience branches out way beyond the technology, so helping organizations figure that out. And then lastly, proving it, right? So thinking about what is the attribution and how do we take the revenue that's being generated, the leads that are being generated, and tie it back to the technology and the spend that we have. For me, I think the two problems. One, just personal, for as a business owner, small business, we are constantly competing with the Goliath. So how do we change the game? How do we stay ahead of them in a way that makes large organizations want to work with a boutique firm? And then lastly, when we're sitting down with customers and doing that type of consulting, how do you know what's going to be relevant to them given all of the little tactics now that you can have in marketing?
Hi, my name is Erica Lockheimer. I'm Senior Director of Engineering to the Growth and Lifecycle team at LinkedIn. Been at LinkedIn for about 6 years. So what my area is focus of growth. So my team is solely responsible for how many members we sign up a year and how well connected they are. Just to, how do we actually do that? Not only on the engineering and the tech side, obviously everything has to be stable and built in a very scalable way, but we think about how do we bring members to the site. If you think organically, like SEO, search engine optimizations, we want to make sure we have a lot of content on LinkedIn, so it's a matter of if you're searching for a person, a company, a skill, we want to make sure that when you're searching on Google, you're going to find that person and you're going to come to LinkedIn and you're going to be engaged. And then as well as once you're on LinkedIn is how well are you going to be connected with people. So in my 6 years at LinkedIn, I was focused on growth, and we've had hyper growth as you've seen. And when I first started, we were at 150 million members, and my team was responsible for building the tech as well as the experience to get up to a higher number, and we're now at 440 million members. And you'd be like, wow, that's amazing. We're up and to the right. Things are going fantastic. You guys are winning, right? But then as we slowly started looking at the numbers a little bit better, started looking at the data, it's like people are not engaged on LinkedIn. Not everybody comes to the site every single day, but that number looks amazing, but it's not really that great. So up and to the right, what we found is not really always right. It's about the quality, not the quantity of the members. And so when we dug into that 440 million number, we found guess how many members are really quality signups. And let me tell you what we consider quality signups. This is how we're looking at it really in the last year, is you have a profile picture, you have more than 30 connections, your profile is completed up to a certain point, you have your title, you have your resume on there, and that you're reachable, right? Like you have a confirmed email address, you have the app installed, we can connect to you. So how many do you think of that 440 million members are quality?
10%.
So about 80 million members of those are quality. And so when you think about that, it's like, hey, this is really big, but then this is really small. And if you think about how we make money, right? It's about Recruiter getting access to our network, being able to connect talent with opportunity. We need to get that number up. So we should really be focusing on the quality aspect of it. So our team has really shifted to, it's like, hey, we may do something that actually drops the numbers from the overall signups, but we have quality, and that's really the number that you want to drive. So we're doing things like that. And then, for instance, the main problem that we're having challenges with is making sure that people come to the site every single day. How many of you come to the site every single day? Okay, there's not a lot of hands that are that pop up, right? And it goes back to the experience. Are we providing value to you? And so that's what we're trying to tackle. We want to make sure that we have a daily use case. It's about providing an opportunity to you about, staying connected with your professional network and getting informed on the right data. So it's about getting that to the next level, and that's what our team is focused on. So hope that makes sense.
Hi, I'm Andy Chow. I'm the Vice President of Lead Acquisition at Caring.com, which is part of Bankrate.com. My primary expertise is in direct response digital marketing, and I'll tell you a little bit about my unusual way that I got here. I got started in the career track in kind of a non-standard way. To help pay for college, I had two options: get a job on campus making minimum wage, or try my luck at casinos and gambling. I chose gambling. The type of gambling I'm talking about is what professional gamblers sometimes call advantage gambling. It's a strategic approach to gambling where the player has a statistical long-run advantage. An oversimplified explanation of what advantage gambling is that I had to understand when to risk more money and when to walk away. Long story short, I ended college, and my long-run average was $25 per hour gambling in casinos, which was much higher than minimum wage. When I got out of college, I wondered if I could truly go professional and gamble for a living. Before I had a chance to really give it a try, I got a job at Quinn Street and fell into digital marketing. But I was a bit disappointed at first that I didn't have the time to dedicate to seeing if I could become a professional gambler. But really soon, I realized that digital marketing has a lot of similarities to advantage gambling. I was still trying to understand when to risk more money and when to walk away. My primary focus is B2C direct response marketing. I've driven marketing efforts in a variety of verticals: retail, mortgage and real estate, autos, online dating, subscription services, mobile downloads, and more recently at Caring.com, senior care. I've been on both the agency side and in-house, working with both startups and well-established mature companies. I haven't stuck to a particular vertical since I've found the principles of digital marketing can be applied across all verticals. A few years ago, when I decided to enter senior care lead generation. Initially, it didn't seem like the most exciting vertical, but looking deeper, I saw that demand is rising rapidly. Every year it's growing as the baby boomer generation is aging. Rapidly rising demand and a chance to work with a company with lots of growth opportunity is, in my opinion, always exciting. One of the challenges I come across in digital marketing is dealing with long sales funnels. This is especially true in my current role at Caring.com. In senior care, it can be 6 to 12 months between the time of the initial customer contact and the revenue event where they decide on a senior care solution. So deciding where to allocate media spend and resources requires a large amount of modeling and regression analysis. So coming full circle, in other words, I find myself once again trying to understand when to risk more money and when to walk away.
You're a gambling man. Kenny Rogers song. Is this on? Can you hear me? I guess this. Here we go. Thank you, guys. So I hope you have some sense of who's on the dais here. We've got 14 minutes and 57, 56, 55 seconds here, so we're going to go really quickly. I want to do something first to set these folks up with a couple of questions in audience Q&A. Brian Solis published a story in CMO.com, which is owned by Adobe, on April 20th. And one of the things I do on the side is I'm the contributing editor-in-resident CMO for CMO.com, and I write about big, hairy digital marketing issues that CMOs are going through. Brian published his story. You can search him out on CMO.com, April 20th, and in that story is a hot link to a 55-page digital marketing transformation blueprint. Download it. Buy his book, but download this. It's free. I'm going to read you 2 paragraphs, and then we're going to get into questions here, because this is what we're going to deal with. So, name of his download is 6 Stages of Digital Transformation. This is from his book. We live in an era of digital Darwinism, where society and technology evolve faster than the ability to adapt. Disruptive technologies are affecting market dynamics and how businesses operate within them. From mobile apps and cloud computing to social media and real-time marketing, and all of the big and small data between them, technology is advancing at an accelerated pace. At the same time, businesses struggle to keep up with technology and its impact. To effectively compete and eventually thrive, businesses must become agile rather than reactive, and customer-centric rather than presumptive, as he said in his talk. Enter digital transformation. We have seen a series of patterns, components, and processes that form a strong foundation for change. We've organized these elements into 6 distinct stages. Companies may span multiple stages at once depending on their goals, resources, and overlapping initiatives, and may revisit these stages. Collectively, these phases serve as a digital maturity blueprint to guide purposeful and advantageous digital transformation. The stages are business as usual, present and active, formalized, strategic, converged, and innovative and adaptive. And obviously in the next 12 and a half minutes, we don't have time to get into any of that, so download that from his April 20th CMO.com story. So, dear panelists, I want you to each give me your reactions and your thoughts to the following statement. Digital technology is a means, not a strategy. For 10 points, who wants to go first?
I'll take that one.
Go, Andy.
So in senior care, it's kind of it's a very outdated system that our providers, those that we provide leads to, actually work in. They're used to taking walk-ins. They think Yellow Pages provides them with the traffic they need. Someone will walk in. If they like it, they'll sign a lease and they'll move in their parent or grandparent who needs some help. The challenge in working with these companies is at first they sort of, and some still think this, that we're kind of taking a commission for something that they would get anyway. We're getting in the way of Yellow Pages. When that's not necessarily the case. People, I mean, how many of you actually have Yellow Pages in your home? Okay, I don't see a single hand. So the end goal there is to get move-ins. Does it really matter how it comes in? It's educating them that the time is changing, and this is people search online. People will find phone numbers online, will submit a lead online, and that's how we need to contact them. So using the changing environment to actually accomplish exactly the same goal is connecting seniors that need help with the communities that can provide that help.
Yeah, so one of the first things that come to mind is, when I gave my example on growth, right, like that's our strategy. Like we need to grow and grow the business. But as we started working closely with our data scientists, you have to look at members in a very unique way. So you have some members not connected at all, right? Like our strategy is to grow, and that matches that strategy, have them grow their network and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. But when you have other members that, hey, they have 1,000 connections, they have 500 connections, what is their actual value? What value are we providing to them? So we have to think about experiences like, hey, you're getting ready for a meeting. So-and-so is going to be in that meeting. Why don't you read about them? Why don't you prepare for your meeting? So we need to now provide a different value for them. So it's not a one-size-fits-all in that model. And so you want to think about all your members in a unique way. And not only, hey, are they at this boundary of connections, but you have to think, okay, how does this work globally? How does it work in the China market, in the India market? Those solutions are going to be different. And then also your segments. What does it look like in tech segments, financial services, also healthcare, right? LinkedIn, the way it's at, do you think any healthcare professionals are really going to see the value of where it's at? No, we're predominantly on the tech side. So we need to think about all these solutions in a very, very unique way. So we may have our strategy of where we want to be, but we also need to listen to our members and where they need to be.
Chris, you're in a unique position to answer the question. Digital technology is a means, not a strategy. You work with all verticals, all types of companies here in Europe. When you start an engagement, and they want you to do something with Adobe, how do you respond to that? How do you do your discovery to figure out what they're trying to accomplish and how to get there?
It's interesting, as a consultant, I agree with the statement. The technology is definitely not the strategy. It's hard for me to say as a software developer, I want to believe that technology can do anything and is that silver bullet. But what I do believe and what we do say a lot to our clients is that understanding the capabilities of the technology that we have available to us is driving that strategy now more than anything else, right? So understanding the different tools that are available and how those are going to be leveraged really help drive that strategy. And that's a lot of what we do in those initial kind of consulting engagements.
Excellent. Question 2 for 20 points. React and give me your thoughts on this question. And we'll start with Chris and work towards Eric and Andy. So here's the statement. Again, this is from Brian's 55-page blueprint. Successful digital transformation is driven by a clear purpose, vision, and motivated people. Chris?
I think I agree mostly with the motivated people. I think for all of us, writing down an idea or a vision of where we want to be in the future is fairly straightforward. The challenge is the change that we have to manage through to get to that vision. So understanding the change management process, how we're going to change the internal behaviors of people, the external behaviors of people is the most critical aspect of that transformation.
Yeah, just in my experience at LinkedIn, I mean, we would build something and we'd think, hey, this is the right solution, right? right? And it's our gut, and it's where we want to go. And you want to pay attention to that gut. But what we've had is a true transformation within the company of what is the metrics that matter most? Where are we going to be able to measure this value and work closely with data scientists to figure that out? And our members really tell us what those answers are. We can think, hey, this is the right thing, but at the end of the day, this is what the outcomes are. So I think having that transformation of looking at the data to have data-driven decisions is really a key for us.
So focusing on the goal aspect as it relates to digital marketing, direct response marketing, I found a number of times when I've entered a company or when I was on the agency side, seeing that the goal really, the people weren't focused. The goal wasn't quite there. I would see vastly inefficient marketing campaigns where part of it would be making great money and another part would be losing a lot of money. And so then I was confused on the goal. It's a for-profit company. What are we actually going toward? And I would usually get the answer, well, we want to increase our ROI. But then when I would point out, okay, then we need to shut down these particular marketing channels, I might get a response of, oh, no, that's branding. It's like, wait, you're kind of deciding that on the fly to justify inefficient marketing spends. So I think in terms of actually defining that goal and having all the people have the right mindset going forward is really the only way to progress.
Great. Third question for 30 points. We're going to start with Andy and work back this way. Thinking about what Brian told us about customer experience, what are your reactions and thoughts on this statement? Well, actually, what is your definition of customer experience? You in each of your businesses, as we heard, you're creating a customer experience, but how do you define customer experience, guys?
I think of customer experience as starting, it's the full cycle. It's starting with either the initial touch point or the initial time the customer even thinks that they may want or need a particular service or good, all the way through the end use. So an example at Caring is, okay, we do lead generation. Okay, we don't provide senior care, it's just lead generation. However, found that in first starting out, we thought, okay, we only do lead gen, we're a Silicon Valley company, we don't want a call center. And that would be part of the experience, but we don't want a call center. We want to scale the amount of people we help by getting their information or having them call directly to the communities. But like I mentioned earlier, the communities are a bit dated in the way that they practice. And so they had no concept of speed to lead. They had no concept of calling again if you can't reach them. And so what we had to do to enhance the customer experience was actually create a 100+ person call center to call people right away, to actually to get them on the phone right when they've submitted a lead, or pick up the phone right when they call, and found that really helped to facilitate the process. The rate at which our leads would move in jumped dramatically from enhancing the experience that way. It was a very personal experience in that somebody looking for senior care for their parent or grandparent that really needs help, we found really needed that very immediate touch point with someone that was very knowledgeable and could talk about the communities with them and then forward their information where it needed to go, rather than providing everything right in front of them. I mean, they can get all the information that they can talking on the phone just by a couple clicks on the website, but that wasn't enough. It was actually that very close touch point to facilitate the whole process.
Erica, how do you define customer experience at LinkedIn?
So it's about providing value and having a great product that goes along with that. So one of the things that we recently did in the last year, and we learned through this, is so my team is responsible for how much email you get and how much push you do. So I'm sorry, we're trying to work on doing that better. But one of the things we figured out is we send a lot of email, and the way we measure is click-through rate, right? If we send more email, we're going to have more clicks, and we're going to have more revenue come into our site. Everything's going to be great. But then customer support, everybody's come back, hey, you're sending too much email, customers are upset, they don't like this, you're spamming us. So we are like, okay, this is a balance of the business and the customer experience. What are you going to do? So we actually built a platform and said, you know what, we're going to give the right message to the right member at the right time. We actually we send billions of email. We used to send billions and billions. We reduced it by 50%, and we didn't touch engagement at all on the site. So if you think about what you're actually sending and what value you're actually providing the customer, you can actually create and strike that right balance. And so those are the things that we're trying to do in a more effective way.
Chris, give us a good, rather than a broad definition, give us a good example from one of your clients that people would know.
Yeah, I think more about what it's not, and both of the examples just provided are perfect versions of that, right? It's not the experience that we want to design for the customer, it's what the customer wants from us. The customer wanted a call center, the customer wanted less email and more personalization. Designing those engagements, I think we think about it in kind of there's a set of stages that someone's going to go through, and the experience that you should have is what is the entry state and what is the exit state that the consumer's looking for, right? As they move through those stages, and what is the value that you're going to bring to them as they go from the first-time registry all the way to advocating for the LinkedIn platform.
Excellent. We've got about 45 seconds left. We can entertain one question, sir. Yes? Speak loud.
Yeah, for Erica, what are 3 things you are doing so that when a new member joins, they remain engaged after 30 days? And there's a notion on LinkedIn that bigger is better, but is that so?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So that's where we focus on the quality sign up, right? So they get to the site. The first thing that we need to do is if we get them, we call it an onboarding experience, like how do we get them connected and go? So we want to convince you to put your profile online, right? Some people may be, I'm not really into getting informed on LinkedIn. You have to have a professional identity on LinkedIn, because guess what? We have recruiters, and they're gonna start searching for you. So if you don't have a profile, you don't have a picture or anything like that, you're not gonna stand out compared to everybody else. So actually, to be successful for you, we'll show, hey, this is what you look like online compared to recruiters, and encourage you to do the right thing that's actually beneficial for you. So that's one of the first primary steps that's gonna help the business, and then also getting connected.
Panel, thank you. Let's hear it for Andy, Erica, and Chris. Thank you, guys.